There are multiple flavors of libertarianism. You got the classical libertarian, the ANCAP, the Hoppian, the minarchist, and others. There are also multiple flavors of communism. You have the Stalinist, the Leninist, the followers of Trotsky, and others. But in today's video, I will explain to you the different types of centrists there are in the world. Yeah, for some reason a lot of people think there's only one type of centrist, and that couldn't be further from the truth. That's why I brought up the different types of communists and libertarians. Just like how not all communist groups are the same, not all libertarian groups are the same, and not all centrists are the same. Let's start off with the centrist who isn't really a centrist. And that's the political nihilist. I believe that almost every single person has been a political nihilist at some point in their lives. And it does make sense, you're just one person out of millions. What can you change about our political system? Your vote really doesn't matter. Gay marriage wasn't legalized because of voting. Trump did not beat Hillary because he got the popular vote. And don't even get me started on the Democrat Party. Oh, Joe Biden dropped out. Does that mean we get to vote for who we want to go up against Trump? Ha ha, of course not! There are capitalists who are political nihilists, communists who are political nihilists, fascists who are political nihilists, and so on and so forth. I was a political nihilist, and I still am to a certain extent. They're only centrists because they've given up hope on changing anything. On a scale of 1 to 10 of how much I agree with political nihilists, I give them a 10 out of 10. The next centrist group is apolitical. They don't really care about politics. Some of them are political nihilists. Others don't get involved with politics because they think it's too much of a headache. Some of them think they're just too stupid or too uneducated to get involved with politics. It's best to leave construction up to the construction workers, and politics up to politicians. Whatever their reason, apolitical people just don't want to get involved in politics. Now there is a subsection of apolitical people that is on the rise, and that's the griller. Whether it's grilling, gaming, basketball, or whatever else, a griller is someone who's uninterested in politics as long as they can keep doing the thing that they love to do. When it comes to the left and the right, the grillers are uninterested, unless of course they get attacked first. From the moment anyone is born, they are a griller. They just want to do the thing they love to do. A good example is gaming. Multiple gamers didn't have any interest in politics until people like Anita and Jack Thompson told them to stop doing what they love to do. You could also consider them to be a libertarian faction. Just don't tread on them and they won't mess with you. In terms of how much I agree with this ideology, I give it a 5 out of 10. Yeah, I'm apolitical on some things, but with other things, I am not. Another centrist ideology that I don't really consider to be centrist is transhumanism. Now, I'm a transhumanist 100%, I mean, come on, look at my avatar. But I really don't think it's a centrist ideology. You can be a libertarian and also a transhumanist. You can be a communist and also a transhumanist. You can be a fascist and also transhumanist. Hell, I even think you can be an amprim and a transhumanist at the same time. Now, for those of you who don't know what transhumanism is, it's not about being trans. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. Well, actually, now that I think about it, it has everything to do with being trans. But transgenders are not the only type of trans people. Transhumanism is the belief that we should use science and technology to make humans more than human. For example, a trans person will say something along the lines of, I feel like a man trapped in a woman's body, so I'm going to take hormones and other things so I can look more like how I want to look. And I also really hate having a penis. A transhumanist, on the other hand, will say something along the lines of, I hate my skin, I want to replace it with metal. I hate my weak, fleshy human arms, so I want to replace it with robot arms. I hate my human penis, I want to replace it with a robot penis. Now you can totally simultaneously be transgender and also a transhumanist. The two ideologies do not clash with one another at all. I'm planning on doing more videos about transhumanism in the future, but for now I just want to tell you that you can be a centrist and also a transhumanist, but you can also be a transhumanist and not a centrist. I've also heard people say that transhumanism is purely a leftist ideology, and it's not. Unless of course you define leftism as anti-status quo, which I personally do not. In terms of how much I agree with this ideology, I give it an 11 out of 10. Now we're moving on to anti-extremism. Now just like with political nihilism, it's also a centrist ideology that isn't really centrist, but they are a lot closer to the center of the political compass than political nihilist. You can be a far right-leaning authoritarian and still be a political nihilist. You can be a far left-leaning libertarian and still be a political nihilist. But you cannot be either of those two things and also be an anti-extremist. Some anti-extremists are slightly right-leaning, others are slightly left-leaning. Not everybody who is slightly left or slightly right is an anti-extremist, but all anti-extremists are within the Overton window, the center part of the political compass, and they all hate the different types of extremist ideologies. Anti-extremists are usually pretty chill with libertarians and socialists, but they hate ANCAPs and communists. If you're on the outer layers of the political compass, they are your enemies. Most anti-extremists want things to change, but they don't want things to change that much or that fast. In terms of how much I agree with them, I give anti-extremism 7 out of 10. Thanks to the internet, political systems are going to change radically and very fast. I agree that things should change slowly and not quickly, but most of the time anti-extremists can only slow down the inevitable, not outright stop it. Don't get me wrong, I've also been fighting against extremism, like with that one right-wing YouTuber No Bullshit, along with many people on the left. The biggest problem I have with anti-extremism is that extremism is a very subjective term. Everybody has their own definition as to what it is. Now, a subsection of the anti-extremist is the Horseshoe Theorist. Horseshoe theory states that a typical Republican and Democrat are far different from one another than an extreme left-winger or an extreme right-winger. Basically, the more extreme you get, the more similar you are to the extremist on the other side. Fun fact, not one single extremist has ever been able to fully understand what horseshoe theory is. Let me give you an example. Here's a variant of me that is a far leftist. Yo, far leftist version of me, do you have horseshoe theory in your own timeline? No, I don't. What is that? Well, you see, the typical Republican and Democrat disagree on pretty much everything. Gay marriage, abortion, economics, and anything else you can think of. Even nuclear energy and stem cell research? Yep, they disagree on those things as well. But people who are super far left and super far right agree on a lot of things, such as more government control, less personal freedoms, and that political violence is necessary to win. Oh, now I get horseshoe theory. It states that the left and the right are completely the same and interchangeable, right? No, wrong. Okay, far right-leaning variant of me, do you understand horseshoe theory? Oh yeah, totally, it's the theory that the far right and the far left are exactly the same, right? Nope, for a guy who's on the right, you're absolutely wrong. And the fact that both of you came to the same conclusion about horseshoe theory kind of proves it right. Huh, you know what? I think you are absolutely right. Yes, I also agree with the far right variant of JAR. Know what else we agree on? Oh, what's that? We should destroy you. Nope, I'm sending you both back to your own timelines. Whew, that was a close one. Yeah, that's the big problem I have with horseshoe theory. Sure, I agree with it. I think it's right, but it doesn't really mean anything. You can tell someone on the far right that he's very similar to someone on the far left, but it's not going to change any of his opinions. The YouTuber JReg made a pretty good point about this in his Centricide series. Even if horseshoe theory is right about communism and fascism being exactly the same, even though that's not actually what horseshoe theorists believe, they can just join forces and destroy him. I just wish extremists would stop strawmanning horseshoe theory. Now we're moving on to status quo centrist, aka the normies. Basically, in a world of communist, a communist is a centrist, and in a world of fascist, a fascist is a centrist. When you really think about it, what exactly is a centrist? Well, it's someone who is alright with the current status quo. And currently, the dominant political system in the Western world is neoliberalism. Economically right-leaning, socially left-leaning. It's a less extreme version of pink capitalism. Right now, trans people, black people, gay people, white people, and all other groups of people are more equal than they ever been before. And with how things are going currently, they're just going to get more and more equal. But unfortunately, economically speaking, we're becoming less and less equal. Up to the point that many people are saying the middle class is dying, if not straight up dead. In terms of how much I agree with this ideology, I give neoliberalism a 3 out of 10. Yeah, sure, I want people to be more equal, but not with the way neoliberalism is going about it. I'm fine with people having more money than me, I just wish healthcare and housing wasn't so expensive. Also, I do dream about starting my own small business one day, and the current system has made that practically impossible. And finally, we have fishhook theory. Fishhook theory is leftist political theory that states that the typical centrist is more likely to become a Nazi than a conservative. In terms of how much I agree with this, I give fishhook theory 1 out of 10. Yeah, it's possible that a centrist could become a fascist, but it's also possible for them to become communist. To any leftist who believe in fishhook theory, this is why people say you accuse everyone who disagrees with you of being a Nazi. Anyways, that's all I got for today. Tell me in the comments section down below if I missed any centrist ideologies. And if this video gets 1,000 likes, I'll make a video on the different types of libertarian groups. I can't wait for all the comments along the lines of, oh, you forgot about democratic socialism. It starts with democracy and ends at democracy.